Well, here we go. You can probably hear it in the video in the background if you crank up the volume. The pitter patter of rain on the tin roof. Anyhow, I saw it coming for a couple days. This time around, I recognized that there was something coming. I could feel it in my bones. It feels like a little stiffness, a little uncomfortable. And then I have this urge right before a storm hits. I gotta take care of everything. Like, I gotta eat extra. I have to relax a little bit more. I have to, hunker down. All these feelings that come up with, like, whenever a storm comes up, I feel more insular, like being more inward. Um, the good thing about it, though, is I know that on the flip side of all of the rain that is going to sit for a day instead of a thunderstorm, is that much rain will really saturate the ground, and in about 4 or 5 days there will be a whole new flush of mushrooms. This is a cold front moving in. If it was a thunderstorm, it would be like a warm front. It would be quick. It would be, whatever. They say with almost every storm that comes through now, yeah, you get anywhere from what is it? This one was predicted to be a tenth to quarter of an inch, except higher amounts in the thunderstorm. I think there's already been uh, a quarter or a tenth of an inch down. It's been raining for almost 2 hours already. And although it's not a downpour, I think at some point it will be quite a storm, or so not a thunderstorm, but more of a rain coming down. So as I was approaching that today, what do I notice? This is a cool thing too. Everybody, when I was driving about, everybody, or a lot of folks, were watering their gardens, watering all kinds of things. They're watering their lawn, watering this and watering that. And I think subconsciously, this is what happens. People, like, in the intuition says water, like there's water coming, so I got to put the water out. Or it's like a subconscious, and it happens every time. In, like, after it's been raining for a few days, nobody waters. But then right before it rains, the day of or the day before it rains, like when it's supposed to, people water really heavily. It's very, it's a predictable thing, and I've tracked that through landscaping. You didn't really think about it too much, but people would often, my clients, even in the peak of it all, they would ask me to come and water a couple times a week, and I would say, well, it's going to rain tomorrow. There's no point in watering it. And they're like, well, in case it doesn't. Like, you don't want to over soak things. I would always run into that. I just thought it was interesting. Um, but the nice thing about the rain, when there's a nice heavy rain that comes through, um, meaning that it's more than a tenth of an inch with a little bit of pouring rain in, is that it means there's another, it's a stimulus for the mycelia to jump. And a little bit like people, mushrooms or mycelia go in stages, and they jump from one stage to another. They require something significant that happens that impacts them in order to go from one thing to another. So the mycelium, to grow, they need to get a shock of some sort. So they go from the liquid state, and they're shocked into a dry state where they have to take hold. Either they take hold or they die. Um, so in the liquid state, they're sort of dormant, they're active, but not active in that state. And then they're pushed into an environment where it's a dry environment, relatively dry environment, but it's a shock from one to the other, and it's thrive or die. So the next one from that is once the mycelia have reached a terminal mass, as it were, here in a patch, or they've gotten to a certain point, what they're looking for is a shock that takes them to the next level. A shock, something that says thrive or die. Either you're going to do this or you're not, and you have to jump to the next stage. And I found that fascinating because it's really something that you don't see too many species do. And mushrooms, which we think of as prehistoric and very, very primitive and not having any mind whatsoever, it does have a collective and it does have a goal, and like everything else, to propagate, to, make more of me, so copies, whatever. And so it's interesting that this collective of this fibrous network, which is not very unlike our axons and dendrons inside our brain, all these network of things, learn as a collective to do certain things and to go from one stage to another and to develop and grow and then reproduce that way. Is mushrooms. And I love doing mushroom spore prints now. I used to hate to do spore prints, but all of this is inspired, of course, by the rain coming down. So I know that sometimes it feels really heavy and all of that, and then there's the positive of there's always growth, and it is heavy. So life is heavy. The weather is heavy. It's the thick atmosphere, and it's consolidated and compacted and pressed till it's dropping stuff out of it on us, which is this amazing thing that happens in the atmosphere, the earth taking care of itself. So all these different perspectives and things coming up, the mushrooms and the mycelia and the growth and the brain structure of what we think of something that does not have a brain, like we do, but as a collective, as an organism, as a species, each genus and species of mushroom, each collective of critters out there can work together and we've seen it in videos and so forth. We've seen it in the micro and the macro through the lens and through our own recognition of the cycles and so on of life. It's still fascinating to witness when you do have the right conditions, and the right conditions are happening out there. It's raining. So although it's heavy and I feel it in my body, there's a reason for that, and there are good things that will come from it. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being curious about what I'm doing, and thank you for being present for my channel and for your own life. Cheers.